if we know what the top drivers for retention are, why are some dealers still losing customers?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think one of the reasons is that we have to approach, I think the most successful dealers approach retention, or what I prefer to call it is customer continuity. Because when a customer buys a car from you, every new car sold by a dealer, they have 100% retention at that point. They own that customer, and it's up to them to make sure that that customer returns. And I think understanding what those key defection points are, whether it be the first service visit, whether it be when the factory warranty runs out, whether it be tires, understanding what those key defection points are, and having a system in place, ideally that's proactive about addressing that customer where they are in their customer journey and taking the appropriate steps to make it as easy as possible for that customer to say, yes, I'm returning. And that might be as simple as setting up the next service appointment when they're leaving from their current one. I'm surprised still today how many dealerships, the dealerships that do that, do a really good job at it. And I think that that's a great opportunity for more dealers to do that. I mean, think about every consumer experience you have that's on a repeat basis. Whether that's, I go to my barber every 5 weeks. I set that appointment now. I go to the dentist every 6 months. You set that appointment at the end of the last one. Automotive service is largely the same way. And I think that's just one example of how we can create a system that is proactive, looking forward for that, where that customer is in their customer journey, and taking the appropriate steps there. So I think looking at it as an overall system, I think is helpful, as opposed to, gee, traffic is down this month. Let's send out a direct mail piece that gives whatever 15% off of an oil change. That may help drive a little bit of business, but it's not going to really help with your retaining those customers
Yep.
and bringing about continuity. It's all about making sure the customer has value. We communicate that value effectively to that customer at the appropriate period of time, and understand what their next step is. What is the next step for making sure we're taking care of you and your automobile in the fashion that is in your best interest.
What a great point. So I was thinking that, and then you started talking about it. It doesn't matter where you go. Dentist, everywhere you go, there's always an appointment set. That's what's next you in. If maybe it doesn't work, well, yeah, I think that's okay. What, late week, early morning, late morning, early afternoon, whatever it is. And it may not even work out for the oil change time or whatever the service is coming in. But there's a reminder sent out, and there's a message that's sent out. And the chances are likely that they're going to show or reschedule for because something came up that they didn't know about 3 months before, 4 months before, etc. That is so critical. That one thing you just mentioned, I don't see it happening often. Yet it happens every dentist visit, and I've been to hundreds of those in the last couple of years. There's a lot of, and there's always what's next with every single time.
Yeah, we sit with the customer leaves our service facility, and then we sit there and wring our hands and worry: are they going to return? Are they going to return? Are they going to return? Take the steps now to make sure that you're maximizing the probability that the customer is going to come back in 6 months or 4 months or whatever the case may be, and then redeploy your marketing budget into confirming that appointment, as opposed to casting a wide net to all these customers who are due for service, but you don't have an appointment set yet.
This is big. This is so big that with Lithia, with Sonic, with everybody's getting into the service side, and they're focusing at even Ford Direct and the shop. They're talking about things that they haven't ever talked about to their dealers. It's always about the variable side, what's going on their website. No, it's fixed operation, customer pay retention. And that's what I stole that from Greg Noonan, if you know who Greg Noonan is.
Yeah, I know Greg.
He says customer pay retention order, not customer paid repair order. And it really makes sense. Wow. Well,
Yep. Yeah. I even heard a dealer group, I was at a conference a month or two ago, and the head of a large dealer group was talking about rethinking their fixed operations in the sense of specifically around customers who have unplanned repairs. and thinking about triaging those customers like you would in an emergency room. All too often, when you have a customer who is, for example, towed into the dealership, obviously they don't have an appointment, and that can create some chaos internally, as well as, more importantly for the customer. But having a process in place, and they had a specific term that they were using to brand it. I don't remember or planning on branding it, but I thought that was a great idea. And just in terms of looking at that and approaching it from a like in a hospital emergency room, what do we need to do to take care of this customer based upon the situation right now as quickly as possible, so that we can get them back on the road with a minimal amount of disruption to our internal operations because we're planning for it. So I thought that was a really interesting take, and I think a real proactive one as well.